You know I'm like a little famous.
No, she's an insane person. She's a
I would stop talking from. I can't go to jail. I'm gonna freak out. It's so sad. My dog.
But I haven't gotten his side of the story.
No, but his side of the story is gonna be I beat him up and I started to kill him. It's gonna look really bad on me.
Huh?
IRL streamers have become a plague to the internet. From creators we have looked into before, such as Jack Doherty, to many others we have yet to discuss, one thing many of them have in common is their tendency to be a public nuisance at best and platforming straight-up crimes at worst. Today we will be looking at an IRL streamer who has been making headlines for the past week. This streamer is named Elisa Schwartz, otherwise known as Elisa Jordana. She and her at-the-time boyfriend, who is known as Zsorro online, had gotten into a pretty nasty dispute during one of Elisa's live streams. This spiraled into something physical and ultimately led to Elisa's arrest.
Can I just say sorry and like, can I pay something?
By now you most likely have heard of this story at some capacity, and we'll get back to the details on this specific point later on in this video. Today we are diving into not just Elisa and I assume her ex-boyfriend, but also some very interesting situations that Elisa has found herself in over the years. This includes her time before and during her IRL live streaming career. Unfortunately for Elisa, this recent scandal isn't her only shocking situation during her time in the spotlight. Welcome to the timeline of one of the most unhinged IRL streamers I have ever come across. You better buckle up because it's about to be a wild ride. If you look a little bit deeper into Elisa, aside from the recent situation she's been in, there have been quite a few clips of her talking about how famous she is.
You know, I'm a famous person. Everybody knows about me.
Oh my god. You know I'm like a little famous. I hope that this does not... Actually, can you look it up if anyone... Oh my god.
Because I prove my value. All these people that are just like losers, like Uber drivers and just people like Todd that live with their mom. Like, these people aren't worth paying. They have never succeeded in anything. So, of course, they're not going to succeed with me. Literally, you'll be in the dust in 5 years. I will not even know you then. And I'll be huge and you'll still be nothing. I'll be like a huge YouTuber with 1 million subs. And I guarantee that.
From what I've seen, most people haven't heard about her since this past week, though. But to be fair, she does have a history in the entertainment field. Just not a very well-known one from what I could tell. According to an interview by Voyage LA, Elisa's career in entertainment took off by playing in a band called Cobra Starship. You've probably heard of their one song Good Girls Go Bad if you grew up in the early 2000s or even the 2010s. Saying 2010s is weird. According to different sources, Elisa was kicked out of the band. An article written on MTV's website that was taken down but archived stated, "At some point, Cobra Starship mastermind Gabe Saporta is really gonna have to decide if having a guitar player in his band is worth it." Since this article was a bit hard to find, I'm going to go over quite a bit of it, but I will link the full article in the description below, getting to the bottom of Starship's split with guitar player Elisa Schwartz, a less than harmonious parting of ways involving stolen iPods, spa sessions, and late-night Britney Spears-fueled dance parties. You start to wonder if perhaps Saporta would be better off having never hired a guitar player in the first place. The guitar is an integral part of Cobra Starship, and we definitely want to always have one in the band, he said. But now that all this stuff has come to light, I've definitely questioned my dedication to the guitar. Let's get everyone up to speed on just what stuff Saporta is referring to. Early Thursday morning, a statement by Saporta and a lengthy response from Schwartz began to make the rounds on the internet. In the statement, Saporta announced that Schwartz was leaving the band to, quote, focus once again on her solo career, calling her amazingly talented and thanking her for her rocking the guitar every night for the band. Of course, Schwartz saw things a little differently, writing that she didn't leave the band on her own volition, but rather she was replaced, and that during her time in Cobra Starship, she was subjected to constant verbal abuse and treated like an outsider. At one point, everyone was taking digs at me and insulting me and just overall disrespecting me. I was very isolated by the band at that point, she wrote. They would all hang out together and then they saw me. They would always say little sarcastic comments or insults and then just walk away. There was nothing I could do right in their eyes. They would all go to sound check and tell me about it when they were already on stage because I couldn't handle hanging out with them because of the constant verbal abuse. And then I get screamed at for missing it when they could have texted me. I was the only person who wasn't allowed to have a friend on the bus, so me and my best friend had to drive behind in a car while all the band members' girlfriends were staying there. Schwartz also contends that she is yet to speak with her former bandmates about being replaced, that Cobra Starship continues to write songs and rehearse on equipment that she paid for, and the whole situation has left her disappointed and deeply saddened. Not surprisingly, Supporter was itching to respond to all of this, detailing in a long and incredibly detailed list of briefs he and the rest of Starship had with the former guitarist, starting with her decision to leak his statement to the net in the first place. We wrote that statement as a way of announcing that she had left the band, and we sent it to her to take a look at and change around whatever she wanted. But rather than doing that, she posted parts of it online and wrote this response that aired out all this dirty laundry. She's forced my hand. If she wants to say she was fired, then I'll have to explain just why we fired her. Supporta explained that his problems with Schwartz started almost from the minute she joined the band, because she had began to act in ways people in bands aren't supposed to act. She always expected people to carry her stuff for her. She would disappear the whole day and go to spas. She would miss sound checks all the time. I'm sure she felt insecure. She never toured before, and there's a certain way about it. And she refused to get acclimated to it. Plus, some of the guys in the band have a very specific sense of humor, and she would get offended by it. But I personally never subjected her to any verbal abuse. I deny that wholeheartedly. Not gonna lie, there's parts of this response that don't sound the greatest to me, such as the guys had a sense of humor that she was offended by. Supporta said Schwartz started inviting strangers onto GGH's bus, which led to several awkward situations and some unsanctioned late-night dance parties. The gym class heroes were nice enough to let us share the bus, and it's their tour, it's their bus, so none of us were bringing anyone on the bus. But Elisa would bring people on the bus who were lurkers. Plus, she would turn up Britney Spears and have dance parties each night. After the behavior continued on Cobra Starship's second tour, which resulted in someone absconding with Starship's bassist Alex Cerez's iPod, the band stripped Schwartz of all inviting people on the bus privileges. Despite the guitarist's best efforts to convince the group she would change, including writing a 9-page apology letter according to Supporta, the band decided to part ways with her officially earlier this month. Supporta said that Schwartz's claims that she had never spoken to anyone in the band about her dismissal are bogus, as are her assertions that the band had stolen her equipment. If she wants her guitar back, it's totally at the Crush management's office right now. He's looking forward to getting the Starship back on the road, with a new guitarist, Victoria Asher, on board for the ride. When contacted by MTV News for a rebuttal, Schwartz declined to comment, but she did write in an email that she has not been paid by the band and they have still not returned her guitar. She also maintained that while she was on tour with Cobra Starship, she was treated like garbage and that she would really like to tell her story, but didn't want to sound too negative. It's a good thing too, because we think the good name of the guitar has already been sullied enough by this sordid split, as if Jan Hammer hadn't caused enough damage to its rep already. There is another article that has been written from the perspective of Elisa, and this one is still accessible. On a website called marieclaire.com, it shares a bit of insight from Elisa's point of view on the situation. One interesting thing to note here is that articles like this are usually written by journalists or a third party. For example, the article we just read was written by a man named James Montgomery, who was not actually in the band. However, the article we're about to get into was actually written by Elisa herself. They told me I wasn't pretty enough to be a rock star. Former Cobra Starship musician Elisa Jordana on the sexism she experienced in the music industry. This was published in 2017. This was posted several years after the back and forth that was archived on MTV's website. When I started writing songs as a kid, I thought I'd be the next Madonna, but I didn't look like Madonna. I didn't sound like Madonna, as many men in my life were fond of reminding me I was never going to be her. But then I get a chance at fame. They said, "You're not beautiful enough," my manager informed me, relaying a memo from a record label representative. It wasn't the first time I had been told I didn't have the right look to be a pop star. Feeling masochistic, I asked him to elaborate. "Too old, too fat, and a weird nose," he clarified. "Did they like the songs?" I asked. "They didn't mention the songs, but they pointed out you looked like a mom and not a hot one." After years of trying to make it as a solo artist in a male-dominated music industry, I knew the drill. If they didn't want to bang you, they weren't interested in talking to you. Image was a major factor in building a successful singing career, and I felt tremendous pressure to dress and act very sexy. Growing up, I had always been extremely awkward and shy. Sometimes I'd go a week in school without saying a word. I had a super skinny body, a big nose, and a huge frizzy mop of hair with fluffy bangs. To succeed in the music industry, I'd either have to cut my head off and start with a completely new face and body, or pump up the appeal. So I put on a tight dress, fake eyelashes, a bright orange spray tan, and neon lipstick. Producers started asking me the following questions. Some of the speech bubbles seem to be cut off, but one says, "Can you get a nipple piercing? Why don't you sing about being a nymphomaniac?" I just wanted to succeed. Now, I know there have been several documented cases of women in Hollywood being turned away for not being pretty enough. This includes people like Jessica Alba, Winona Ryder, and even Jennifer Lawrence. It's not just exclusive to actors and actresses, this is something that goes into the music industry as well. With all of that being said, however, I am obviously not able to confirm or deny this claim made by Elisa, just based off of my opinion, regardless of how common this seems to be in Hollywood. I had finally given up and accepted that I'd be a cocktail waitress and or a shady foot fetish model when I bumped into a guy at a nightclub who said he was forming a band and asked if I'd be interested in joining. "Yes, I'll do anything," I said too quickly, not looking very cool at all. "Great." We rehearsed Monday in Jersey City. I forced myself to go to every single rehearsal, and we worked 12 hours a day learning the songs he wanted me to play. I picked up a cool instrument, the keytar, which is a combination of a keyboard and a guitar. I loved being part of something. It was as if I finally belonged somewhere. When we left New York to embark on a national tour, I couldn't have been more excited. But I let my emotions get the best of me and ended up falling in love with my band's lead singer. He made my dreams come true and actually told me I was as talented as Mozart. I know, what a great line. I think he had a girlfriend at the time, but I was so enthralled with him I hardly even noticed. Oh boy. Our relationship was a secret I was not capable of handling. I wanted to tell the world about us, but instead the whole situation just became really awkward. At times, it felt like I was in danger of being replaced. I'd cry in the bathroom of venues we played at. I knew I had made a horrible mistake. I had no power in this situation. I hoped I could feel better about myself, but everything got worse when, after playing at a venue in New York City, I learned a music executive had said I looked like a on stage. It was especially horrible because the night of that particular show, my parents were in the audience. We were touring the Midwest when a new girl started sleeping on the tour bus. She was there for a week, yet she never looked at me and we never spoke. It wasn't so uncommon for bands to pick up pretty women, so I didn't think much of it. But then a random fan at an autograph signing mentioned a rumor that this new mystery girl might be my replacement. I saw her holding my keytar backstage, figuring out how to adjust the settings. I walked up to her and said, "That's mine." Eventually, I recognized my dreams hadn't come true after all. They replaced me with someone I'd never seen before, a younger, more attractive version of myself, with perfectly straight hair and a smaller nose. More devastation came when a few months later, the band had a #1 hit single on every pop radio station across the country. I'm assuming that's the Good Girls Go Bad song. They performed at the MTV Video Music Awards that year, with my replacement front and center. I'd been dumped and fired from jobs before, but never one that gave me a constant reminder of how much I'd royally screwed up in my life. I became depressed for years and moved to California to escape the daily remembrance of how much I failed in New York. I was working at a bikini bar when my former band's song Good Girls Go Bad came on the radio. Yeah, that confirms it even further for me. I never felt like such a loser in my life. I developed a stage name for myself, no longer being Elisa Schwartz, but Elisa Jordana, hoping that this new identity would bring me some better luck. With this whole segment, I find a lack of anything mentioned in that previous MTV article to be a little concerning. I understand that she might have had some insecurities, especially regarding the criticisms she's gotten on her appearance from executives and managers and what have you, but there were clearly some other issues going on behind the scenes with her behavior that seemed to lead the band into this decision to kick her out of the band. Her behavior that has been documented all the way up to this point does make me question, especially when you take note of the previous articles' mentions about her, claims against her, as well as the way that this article was written. I'll dive deeper into this when we get to this segment with her and her most recent ex-boyfriend and the fight that they had, but there's something else about this that is extraordinarily ironic, which is the fact that there are clips of her being very nasty to other people, ridiculing their looks, and it's not like she changed or had an epiphany realizing this was wrong and thought it was important to discuss. All of this happened after she wrote that article. In fact, some of this even happened this past week when everything hit the fan.
Don't let me get started on your looks, okay? I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to be racist or whatever, but you know, your looks are not that great.
Huh?
I'm not not going to say anything because I don't want to be racist or whatever, but you know, your looks are not that great.
I became enamored with the comedy scene in LA. I needed laughter in my life. I was desperate for it. I started writing jokes but was too scared to perform them on stage. After dating a brilliant comedy writer while visiting New York, I ended up being inspired enough to submit material to the Howard Stern show where he worked. Eventually they hired me and I felt a little bit less horrible about myself. This article also goes into Jimmy Kimmel not being Elisa's biggest fan. As it turned out, the Howard Stern show wasn't the best place to work for someone whose self-esteem had been broken. When talk show host Jimmy Kimmel went on the air and said Elisa Jordana isn't funny or talented, I just about lost my mind. When I got the opportunity to play some original music live on the show for record industry exec Tommy Mottola, he called my voice thin and said that I should stick to comedy. Having Jimmy Kimmel say I wasn't funny and Tommy say I was a horrible singer made me realize something. I had been heartbroken. I had been through humiliations. I had famous and successful people criticize me in front of an audience of millions. Of course I should have quit trying things, at least publicly. People could put me down for my looks or my talent or lack thereof, but I wouldn't let them break my spirit. That is something they have failed at. This is something we'll get into later in this video when we discuss her response in a TMZ interview, but what she said here is strikingly similar to a caption she made under a recent Instagram post that showcases clumps of her hair, but we didn't get there yet, so just hold on to that. If I could start over in the music business, I wouldn't try to be someone I'm not. I wouldn't be wearing a tight, uncomfortable dress, or sing about threesomes, or have an affair with someone who doesn't love me. I would be shy, nervous, awkward, playful, and curious, because then I would be myself, and if the music industry didn't accept that, I wouldn't want to be in it. I find this statement to be quite ironic considering the way she acts towards somebody later on in this video, calling them really nasty things because her, at the time, boyfriend cheated on her with that person.
That's her. She's like 20 years old. That's her Venmo that Zsorro sends the money to. So all of Zsorro's private information is phone number, address, her full name, her Venmo account, transactions are all.
James donated $5.
Are you ever been cheated on for 2 years with a 20-year-old Mexican? I doubt it.
I'm gonna text you your nudes that he sent me and
Right.
what he wrote about you. He said you're a dumb Mexican that he doesn't even like.
Oh,
Just
sure,
tell me, Sarah, I heard you had a kid when you were 16. That's what he told me about you.
Yes, you
and
had
he
a
said you're a
kid.
dumb Mexican.
I said she's a
And he
dumb
said
Mexican.
you keep showing.
Let's get back to Elisa's track record here. Back in 2010, Elisa was also known as a writer for the Howard Stern show, as well as being an occasional guest on the show. During the show, she dated a man named Benji Bronk, another writer for the show, and according to an article written on the Howard Stern show's website, Benji claims that he spent over $31,000 on Elisa during their relationship. I've been reading a lot of articles, so I'm just gonna make this one really quick. Benji actually broke down in tears while talking about how much he loves Elisa, but saying he wants her out of his life. Howard asked him how much money he has given her. He agreed to support her for 1 year after their breakup, and Benji put the figure at about $31,000. Howard astutely pointed out that most guys in radio don't make half of what Benji has given his ex-girlfriend. In 99.9% of situations, I do not care about who spends money in a relationship. That's people's personal business, and I personally think that when it comes to relationships, if you're calculating how much money down to the dollar that you're spending on a person, that's a little odd, especially if you've been dating them for a long time. And again, I think that's something that should be kept between each other. Unless, of course, you're in a situation where you lend somebody money and you come to a deal or a compromise to say, hey, are you gonna pay me back? That's different. But in this situation, it's clearly not that. This is a guy talking about how much money he spent on his ex-girlfriend. What is interesting about this situation, though, is that he allegedly supported her financially for an entire year after their breakup. Now again, finances in relationships are personal. However, I discuss this specifically because it does seem like a pattern that Elisa will steer Cupid's arrow into the direction of money, despite what the person may be like or how they treat her. As her now most recent ex-boyfriend, who she clearly had a very, very toxic relationship with, spent over $2 million in donations to her live stream throughout the period of 6 months to a year.
Donating big money to me anymore, I'll tell you guys, because his dad cut him off. He doesn't have any money. So his dad cut him off so he can only donate like $3 at a time, like once a week. So that's what he, honestly, that's what he deserves. And so I'm not answering your calls anymore. I'm not answering your texts. I'm not answering your calls. You're not a big donator and you suck on the phone talking and I hate you. Nothing. You're not a big donator anymore. You don't have any access to money, so leave me the alone. That's all you're good for. Imagine a man that's like in his 40s acting like a child, like a teenager, like disgusting, like no class. This guy has zero class. He has a money sprayer for in his apartment. Think about it, in his dad's apartment, not even his. So his dad's property, he lives in it, and he sprays money at women that he has to pay because there's no way, his personality sucks so much, unbelievably so, that he could never get women without money, which is, he's not getting me anymore. Yeah, he's done. He's done.
Back to Elisa's entertainment resume, she had made other appearances in Hollywood. On IMDb, it shows that Elisa had been on The Bold and the Beautiful and Sharknado 4, which I couldn't find any footage of her being in it, and apparently she played as Sam Bronk, but the role wasn't significant enough to even be listed in the end credits of the movie. In 2017, Elisa created a show on YouTube called Kermit and Friends, where she would do interviews and live streams. And yes, she does often have Kermit the Frog appear in these live streams. This is just an odd choice to me to even name it that, let alone have these characters in it. It doesn't make sense, but okay. She has also been involved in other controversies over the years with her live streams, where she claims in her YouTube bio that the videos are staged entertainment.
Can you please delete my number from the chat?
No, she's a fucking insane person. She's a fucking
I would stop talking about
dumb in the middle of the street dancing.
And to be honest, I don't even know where I'm going to throw this part in. When researching this topic of Elisa, I have found several clips of her allowing her dog and other dogs to lick the inside of her mouth.
And then I'm going to see Stuttering John.
Stop it. Get some help.
No good?
The only thing I can come up with is possibly to garner more attention from shock value, I guess, maybe, or is this just something that she does? I don't know, this is weird. So now we're leading up to more recent events, including Elisa's newest controversy and arrest. A YouTuber named Atozy made a very interesting video going into some details regarding how Elisa's now ex-boyfriend Zsorro first appeared on Elisa's radar to begin with. I'll also have his video linked below. Zsorro would make several generous donations to Elisa's live streams, and I mean very generous. Again, credit to Atozy for pointing this out. He would also call into her streams occasionally and would yell at her a lot and her audience, so this was already a big red flag before they had even met. Zsorro quickly became a meme for Elisa's audience whenever he would call into her live streams and when he was with her in person. The chat, donators, and callers would often say things that struck a nerve with him and would cause him to react aggressively. Eventually, they did meet up in person. She visited him at his apartment on what would be considered their first date in November of 2023. And this was really something. He starts arguing with the callers, and also, despite how Elisa ended up treating him in the car, there is no excuse for the way she handled that by any means. The way he talks to her here makes him seem like a degenerate man-child. Again, that does not excuse what happens later on. This situation is separate from that.
Yeah.
All right, can I wrap it up?
$40 million, so you make $3 TTS, right? That makes a lot of sense.
I missed
And then get insulted, right?
I missed
getting insulted for $3. Oh, you do? Here. Here.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna go get a couple of ones for you and show $3 you.
No, you better not. No, I don't want that. No, please.
Idiot. Let's not do it.
No.
Any one wants to call up, you shut up, let me answer them.
Okay,
and
that's fine.
You literally, all of you, add up your cumulative wealth and intelligence, idiots, and think to yourself. I ask this all the time. You ever been top 10 in anything in your dumb lives? Mine is 10 with 16 zeros, pleb. So you think you're not impressive? I have news for you. You're not impressive. I'm impressive.
Okay.
I'm 10 with 16 zeros.
Okay.
What are you?
Not bad.
Right.
The stream ends up going so poorly, and he gets so upset by the trolling that Zsorro threatens to call the police if Elisa does not end the stream.
What's that? What is that? Oh, you want me to hang up?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta hang up. All right, bye, Rectum. Okay, bye, everybody. Love you. So, what is that? Is that for the cops?
Yeah.
Calling the cops
Yeah.
on me?
Yeah, it is.
Can you hang up?
No.
You're calling the cops?
Hang up and I'll-
Okay. All right, bye, everybody. Bye. Okay.
I honestly don't think he is the greatest person by any means either. He comes off as really aggressive and insecure when responding to people and callers in her live stream, and they both just seem to despise each other. Watching them interact is pretty much insufferable. Another stream takes place on April 2nd, 2024, and this one's just over 3 hours long.
You'll be nothing, asking your dad for 8% of your money, and I'll be like a huge YouTuber with 1 million subs, and I guarantee that. And I'll ignore you in the chat.
In a quarter mile, use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto Wellington Trace.
No. It doesn't matter what it is now, because you've never achieved anything, so you don't know how. I got a record deal. I was on the radio. You've done absolutely nothing in your life besides being born to your dad. That's why you don't know. That's why you don't understand how things build. I'm nothing now. I have very few viewers, but my viewers are women and families and people that matter.
Zeros.
You have no, you're a zero actually. You're actually exactly what a zero is. Exactly. You have nothing to offer the world. Zero. Nothing. You have nothing. You're not creative, you're not interesting, and you're not smart, and you don't have a good personality. So that's how I feel about you.
At the light, use the left 2 lanes to turn left onto Wellington
You're
Trace.
literally nothing in the world. So no one even notices you. Even though you donated $1 million, people still don't notice you. How is that? If you were interesting, people would talk about you. You're not even interesting, even with the million. Even if you donated 5 million. No, I'm just saying, if you donated 5 million to me, people still would care about you. No, if I had 2 viewers, I'd still be more successful than you.
How does that work?
Because I saw you live on Twitch, and not even one of your webcam girls showed up. Not one.
Go, Elisa donated
Not one.
$5.
I saw you go live on Twitch. Nobody clicked on it. You're a loser.
I went live on Twitch.
Nobody's interested in you.
I went live on Twitch.
Yeah, you put your stupid finance shit that's fake. That's nothing.
Fake.
That's nothing. You spent your dad's money. That's why you spent so much of it. Yes.
Both Elisa and Zsorro seem to have relentlessly clashed with each other. Viewers began to call in and leave donation messages expressing concern for Elisa. People pointed out that the relationship they had seems very toxic and potentially dangerous.
For your safety, please don't end the stream. Please. He's scaring me.
This leads into the live stream that everybody has been talking about over the past week, the one that had made headlines in mainstream media. On April 9th, 2024, Elisa had been arrested for her attack on Zsorro, driving recklessly while recording a live stream of her hitting him in the car. But let's back up to the beginning of this stream, or at least from what we can, because it's been removed from her YouTube channel. It appears that Zsorro had been cheating on Elisa with a 20-year-old, as the live stream starts out with Elisa visibly upset, claiming she saw messages he sent to another girl and how they were the same things he had sent to Elisa.
To me, and he lied, and he told her I'm just like a streamer, and it was just an investment, and like the whole time he was talking to me, he was talking to her, the whole time, and I saw everything that he said to her. It's all the same shit he said to me. And he's just like a bad guy. He's not like the type of guy that's like a faithful guy. And when he liked me the most, he was like cheating on me with her, with this like 20-year-old like whore that sends videos and like, you know, I knew he was that, but I didn't like he was that. I knew he was that.
I'd normally feel really bad for a person in her situation because there are a few things that hurt worse than the feeling of betrayal to this extent by the person that you love and trust. Or in her case, I guess somebody that you think you love, because ma'am, this has been toxic as hell since day one. This just doesn't feel good to watch.
Yeah. She goes, you told me she was just some streamer. So he told this girl that he was seeing at the same time as me that I'm just some streamer. And like, he was lying like constantly to me. And she says, it really hurt Baram. It f***ing sucked to see you hold her the way you held me. It sucked to hear her call you beautiful and babe. It sucked to see you clearly cared for her more than me. Like, she was seeing them, he was seeing us at the same time, like literally at the same time.
First of all, this is something that should have never even have been a public thing. You just found out you've been cheated on, and while you're still processing everything and crying and feeling the emotions, because this happened literally minutes before, I assume, your first thought is to turn on the camera and live stream while you're dealing with all of these emotions. Secondly, this camera is set up in her car, and this gets dangerous really fast. Unfortunately, with Elisa, you could tell that during many parts of this live stream, she is more focused on the camera than she is driving safely. In fact, you could tell in some of the parts that she's driving pretty recklessly. This is something that's extremely dangerous, and in my opinion, she's very lucky that she didn't get into an accident from this. With how upset she was, in my opinion, she shouldn't have been driving in the first place. She calls the person that he allegedly cheated on her with, which gets pretty unhinged, and eventually she ends up at the mall where she shows that she has Zsorro's phone, keys, and wallet, and not only threatens to go shopping with the cash that was in his wallet, but shows his license on stream, essentially doxing him, and threatens to post his credit card numbers for others to go shopping.
Not that much money left. Should I spend this money? Sparrows for everyone? Should I get Sparrows for this whole place? Let's go on a shopping spree.
Eventually, Elisa does meet up with Zsorro with police present, requesting her to give him his wallet, keys, and phone back. She does give them back, but she also threatens to hit him, which resulted in an officer giving her a very stern warning.
I called Sarah, you f***ing bitch. I'm gonna f***ing kill you. I'm gonna f***ing kill you. Sorry. Okay. I'm just talking to him.
Do you want to go to jail?
Not really, no.
Okay.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. You should see what
You're lucky that your hand didn't hit him, because regardless of what he said,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Get me off of that camera.
Okay, you're not on it.
No, get it. She's the police.
I'm
Listen.
talking. Regardless of what had just happened here, if you had hit him right in my presence, regardless if he was quiet, be quiet and listen to me. No matter what he said, you would be going to jail. Do you understand?
All right, that's fine.
So, as you see here, she was warned by police that if she puts her hands on him, if she hits him, she would go to jail. She would be arrested. Is it shitty that he cheated on her, and was it shitty with the way he talked to her in a lot of her live streams? Absolutely. But that is not going to get you out of trouble for hitting somebody in front of a cop or hitting somebody while you're live streaming, fully documenting the evidence of it. Somehow, I have no idea why, they both think it's a good idea to leave together in Elisa's car. What I will say is that maybe it was a good thing for once that she had recorded every little thing through live stream, because now there is documented evidence of what she had done, which ultimately led to her arrest.
I wish you could give me my phone. There's no way.
Not right. Let the fire department get here first, and let me talk to my partner.
Just give me an honest opinion on something. If I started it, but I was the least violent one.
She looked a cop dead in their face and said she was the least violent one.
But you're a police officer, you should know.
Yes, but I haven't got his side of the story.
No, but his side of the story is going to be I beat him up and I started to kill him. It's going to look really bad on me. Do you think I'm going to jail?
So you only slapped him?
No, a few times like that.
So you slapped him a few times like that?
So you know how women do. They do it. I don't know.
So I've only seen him walking past him. I saw him, right?
Yeah, but he has a lot of scratches in him, but they're not for me.
Okay, well that's what I'm missing. He has one cut right here that is probably from one of your rings.
Yeah, it's sorry about that. Is that jail time for life?
This is just speculation on my behalf, but it's my opinion that had this not been recorded or live streamed, it's possible that Zsorro could have been the one that was arrested instead of her when she was the one who very clearly assaulted him. Obviously, with YouTube's guidelines, I feel the need to censor many parts of this out, but I'm going to do the best I can to explain everything that has happened in a way that isn't too upsetting, but also provides enough detail for you to understand what is going on. It starts out where Elisa is back on the phone with who I assume is the other woman, with Zsorro next to her in the car. While on the phone, Elisa begins hitting Zsorro with what I could only explain as a closed palm strike. Again, driving erratically and yelling on the phone, Zsorro interrupts Elisa's yelling to say, "I'm sorry about all of this," to the other woman on the line, but before he could finish his sentence, she pops him right across the mouth with an open hand slap. So this whole area right in your nose nose and in your mouth is a very, very sensitive area, especially when you are being smacked the way that she smacked him in this live stream. He even said in this clip, "She broke my nose."
Yes, Sarah, we're really sorry about this. I'm sending him your way today. So don't worry. But yeah, so yeah, he's coming. Don't worry, he's coming home.
Elisa. She just like almost broke my nose. She's gonna get arrested.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Fuck you, cunt.
Very important to mention that he gave her this warning here.
Next time you touch me, I'll fucking dick you. You understand?
Elisa continues driving recklessly and she puts her hand up like this and makes it seem like she is going to hit him again. She very obviously seems to be physically intimidating him at the very least. And then she begins to hurl insults and very nasty things to the person she's on the phone with, who I assume is the girl that he cheated on her with. And the nasty things she said include some pretty racist statements. Multiple times throughout this stream, she goes out of her way to point out how the girl he had cheated on her with is supposedly Mexican.
You ever been cheated on for 2 years with a 20-year-old Mexican? I doubt it.
Sarah, I heard you had a kid when you were 16. That's what he told me about you.
Yes,
and he said you're a dumb Mexican.
I said she's a dumb
And he said
Mexican.
you keep showing to text you your nudes that he sent me and what he wrote about you. He said you're a dumb Mexican that he doesn't even like. Just how he...
What is wrong with you? Why do you feel the need to bring that up? She then puts her hands on Zsorro again, and I won't be showing this clip at all because this time it turns into an all-out brawl. She starts grabbing Zsorro's ear and yanking on it, and this is the moment where he turns around and grabs her hair and tells her to pull over and calls her a dumb cunt. Now, the big question online has been whether or not this situation on his end was justifiable, whether or not it was okay for him to have grabbed her hair after she had continuously hit him in the face and very physically intimidated him and threatened him. In my opinion, I see what he did as self-defense because it had gotten to a point where who knows what could have happened if he continued to allow her to do that to him. Also, he demanded that she stop the car. The car very visibly slows down. You cannot tell if the car fully stops by the time he lets go of her, because right before he does, it pivots a little bit. So I don't know if the car was fully stopped and he continued to hold on to her hair while the car was stopped for a second. In that perspective, I don't know why he would do that, because as soon as the car stops, he should have ran out. This situation was really, really bad just in its entirety. So once he lets go, she runs out of the car. Zsorro gets out of the car and then goes back to turn the camera off, and when he does, you can get a good look at his face, and you can see it's pretty bad. From what I understand at this point, Elisa was the only one out of both of them to have been arrested. Oh yeah, by the way, this guy also has MS, which is a disease where somebody's immune system can attack their brain, their nerves, and even their vision. In some cases, this can lead to blindness and paralysis. And she knows that he has this disease. Now, clearly he's able to walk, he's able to move, at least in this video, but he has mentioned being sick before. But what I find particularly concerning is the fact that when questioned by police, Elisa shares this.
I don't know where it's going yet. We're investigating right now. I need to take pictures of your injuries, okay?
But he has so many injuries from his MS. Do you know that?
I didn't say his injuries were from you. I said I need to take pictures of your injuries.
Okay. Can I see the pictures? Just so I see what it looks like. I haven't looked in a mirror. I'm so upset. He has so many bruises from his MS. It's not at all for me.
Okay.
It may be true that he does in fact have bruises on his body from MS. I'm not sure, but I do know that he probably has bruises on his body from her hitting him the way that she did when they were in the car. And it worries me to think that she could be using his MS as an excuse as to why those bruises were there. This is really just speculation though, because I don't know if what she said is true or not. But she is back to posting on social media, so I'm under the assumption that she is not currently in police custody. She has posted a photo of her hair on her Instagram page with the caption, "I've lost half my hair but not my spirit." But the photo looks a little odd. Elisa had also provided a response to TMZ claiming that she is the victim in the situation. During the interview, Elisa claims that she brought Zsorro to therapy sessions and that they were actually going to get married over Zoom. They had an application and everything, but she canceled 3 times because she didn't feel as if she was ready.
I was hoping that we could talk about like our relationship and our plan, because we filled out a marriage license
And we planned the day to do it via Zoom, and I canceled that day. We canceled it like 3 times because I didn't feel ready and I was really scared.
Jesus, I guess they both dodged a bullet there. She then states how she was looking for something irrelevant on his phone and accidentally came across the text messages and Venmos he sent to other women.
And somehow during the session, I had his phone and I was like looking for something else, and in his phone was like just a lot of bad stuff.
She then pulls out the hair that she had posted on Instagram.
I was thrown like out of my car onto the road and strangled. I thought he grabbed my neck, but I don't want to lie.
That's fine.
So maybe he grabbed my head and was like going like that,
okay.
and then he like, this is my hair. My hair, if you watch that video, my hair is being like, I don't know if you noticed it, but like back and forth, like I had to, this is my hair. Like,
she said, I had to, and didn't finish that sentence, instead saying, this is my hair. After a moment of hesitation, she does say, I had to cut my hair off, which, why would she keep clumps of cut hair?
I had to cut my hair off because, you know, but the thing is,
to me, this almost comes off as she wanted to imply that this was the hair he ripped out, but it slipped out that she had to cut her hair. That's just my interpretation of this. I could be wrong. But the other reason why I believe this is because she posted this on Instagram with no additional context, making people assume that she was implying this was hair he ripped out of her head. And if she were to try and imply that he did rip this hair out of her head and this is all the hair that he ripped out, in that video, no big clumps of hair can be seen falling out of her head. It's not like it was a little tiny clump of hair either. What she was holding in this TMZ interview looked like 2 small animals in her hands.
Alright, well, I appreciate it, guys.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Alright, I'm gonna take, you have a scratch on your chest, I'm gonna take a picture of that, okay? You have one on your forehead. Do you have any other injuries besides the mark on your chest and the one on your forehead?
It was just, you saw what happened.
I'll look on.
And it feels
Just pull
wet.
your hair up for me. I just want to see if there's
It feels wet there. Can you touch that?
I don't see.
Feels like a bump there, right there.
Okay.
Can you touch that?
Just pull your hair to the side so I can see your scalp, like with your hand, your other hand.
Oh.
So I can start to see your scalp.
Ow.
Okay, I don't see.
Ow, that hurts right here.
Okay.
Ow, please touch
That's
that.
fine. There's no blood. There's no redness or anything.
All right.
She then speculates what could have happened if they were alone, if they weren't on a public road where she could escape the car.
I could have been alone in that, and it could have ended up much worse. Like when I slapped him, I didn't want to kill him.
I called Sarah. You bitch. I'm gonna kill you.
Obviously, I just wanted to slap. That's all I wanted to do. I just was mad. But I felt when he was like strangling me and when he was pulling my hair and like shaking my head so violently like a rag doll, I felt that he was trying to kill me.
Obviously, I don't know how that situation would have played out had they been in a more private location. But I think if they were alone, who's to say he wouldn't have been the one either? Who's to say they wouldn't have just straight up killed each other? Because they both seem very toxic to each other, in my opinion. She then goes on to say, women need to feel safe.
Women need to feel safe.
Both parties need to feel safe in a relationship. This man literally said she broke my nose after she had slapped him right across the face with an open palm like this, with a lot of force from what it looks like in the video. And that's the thing. This entire situation was captured via live stream, so she can't deny the things she had done in this situation. Yet she acts like that she is the victim in this situation. Again, I'm not saying that he's a saint in this situation or in this entire relationship, because he seems like a scumbag in my opinion as well. But it's very clear that the way she was hitting him and intimidating him was extremely dangerous. And to ignore any accountability from that speaks volumes in this interview that she had with TMZ. And at the end contradicts her earlier statement by implying she went through his phone to seek the truth, when earlier she said she stumbled upon it. So which is it?
We don't want to be that kind of person that has to go through someone's phone to find the truth. We want truth. And somehow during the session, I had his phone and I was like looking for something else, and in his phone was like just a lot of bad stuff.
While I think that live streaming this extremely toxic relationship is nothing short of an embarrassment, I guess it is a good thing that it provided video evidence in this specific situation. We have reached a point in society where there are people out there who feel the need to record and post every single little detail and every single moment of their lives on the internet, no matter how humiliating or personal those details may be. Elisa seems to have a very long history of being in this type of spotlight though, even before the IRL live streaming days. To make it abundantly clear, I think both of them have their fair share of problems. I think a person absolutely has a right to defend themselves when they are repeatedly being attacked and hit in the face, but Zsorro is definitely not a saint in this situation either. This is a couple who should have never gotten together and from day one have relentlessly butted heads, with Elisa's audience watching every moment of it. All in all, I hope that they both seek the help that they need to become better people and better to others in the future. I have no idea where this is going to go regarding her arrest, if there's going to be a court date, or if she's going to have to serve time for this, if he's actually going to press charges. Who knows what the future holds with this situation, and content like this seems to be more and more popular these days, and it feels like it's a current epidemic here on the internet with IRL live streams anymore. We have a lot of people in similar situations, some of which I will talk about in the near future. It's bizarre to me. With that being said, thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Thank you so much to everybody supporting me over on Patreon. I will see you in the next video where we dive into something a little bit darker than this.